Hey everybody, welcome back to Jinka Jawbo. Today, I'm just going to go over 20 random things about myself. I remember this from it was in social media, I think it was like 10 years ago or something, where people would just make a list of 20 random things, and it was very popular, and it was very fun for me to read these lists. And I even wrote a couple, but I was too nervous back in the day. But the other day it just popped in my head, so I just made a list here, and we'll just go right through it one by one, and I'll even write it down at the bottom here. So, number one, I am from the United States, and right now I live in Vietnam, and I have also lived and worked in South Korea, China, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia. So 6 countries all together, and I really like Vietnam the best so far. I spent 2 years in Korea. That was the longest I had lived in any other country, but I'm gonna more than surpass that here in Vietnam, because I plan on staying here like 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 or whatever until I die. In the States, I'm originally from North Carolina, but I've lived in 5 other states, and I had to sit down and write them all. And it's all mid-Atlantic, mostly Midwest. Most recently, I was in Illinois. Okay, next, number 3. I am left-handed, but I use my right hand just as much. And in fact, I can write legibly with it. It just takes me a lot longer to write with my right hand. I can even juggle and solve Rubik's Cubes with it, And speaking of Rubik's Cubes, I guess that would be number 4. I am quite obsessed with these things. And actually, it was just recently broken, the world record. I think it's down to 4.69 seconds, I'm pretty sure. It was just broken by a kid in Virginia, which is one of the states that I call home. But I love Rubik's Cubes, and hopefully I would like to compete as a speed cuber someday. I think my top speed right now is like, it's around 30 seconds, maybe under. I haven't tested in a while, but I practice a little bit every day, and every day I get better, and it's just an incredibly fun hobby, and it's a lot easier than you would expect, so I encourage everyone to try it if you haven't. Just go on YouTube here, and that's how I learned, by watching YouTube. Okay, number 5, going back to the places I've been, people always ask me, what languages do you speak? And really, I'm only fluent, I guess, in German. I can speak conversational German. I guess you wouldn't call it fluent, but I can have conversations in it, which has been interesting, because in a lot of the places I go, often in China and here in Vietnam, I meet people who speak German better than they speak English, and so it's been very useful for me to fall back on. That said, even though I'm not a polyglot, I've studied a lot of languages, and I know a lot of basic phrases, and of course, languages from countries where I've lived, I know how to say a lot of things in Korean and Chinese and Vietnamese now, and my Arabic was quite good at one point when I was there. I remember when I was studying Arabic, I was living in Virginia, and I would have it in my headphones, and I was listening to it on tape. And I'd be practicing in the grocery store, Shukran, ya Sayyid, things like that, and people would see me, they would overhear me, and they'd kind of freak out, especially in super conservative Virginia. And now and then I'll overhear someone speaking Arabic, and I'll be able to say a few phrases with them. I'll be able to exchange a few phrases with them, and that's kind of funny. Arabic is quite beautiful, and that's one reason I regret not living there anymore, but that's a whole other story, and we're not going to get into that right now. I found one great trick when you're learning foreign languages, or when you're going to another country, is just to learn basic words like, yeah, okay, or I understand, or sure, because that can speed conversation along, and that can help you blend in. Like in Korean, it was always gore, gore, chinsha, chinshayo. Or in Chinese, you just have to say nega, nega a lot. There are certain words you can fall back on, and people just assume that you know all the rest if you just say that and just nod and play along. It's kind of like a Trumpian thing. You see Trump do that, where he he doesn't know Japanese or Chinese or something, and he just nods along. David Pagman did some good videos about that. Okay, number 6. I am afraid of dogs. I have childhood fear of dogs. Can't help it. And I got over it. It took me many years to get over it until this summer. I was in Nha Trang, Vietnam. And actually, for only the second or third time, and it's only happened to me as an adult, I got bit by a dog, and this was like the worst bite that I had. I had a bruise, and I was bleeding for a long time. And since then, I've actually become afraid of dogs again, which is terrible because, you know, I walk down the street and dogs can tell, you know, they can just tell if you feel a little bit nervous. They just know somehow from a mile away. So I always have to do this self-hypnosis, talk myself down if I ever see a dog, and there are a lot of dogs on the streets here in Vietnam. Quite a few on Spitz too, actually. Okay, number 7. I don't like milk. Milk disgusts me. Even if I'm at a restaurant and there's someone is sitting there with a glass of it, I'll purposely turn around, or I'll like not look at it. That's how repulsed I am by milk. And it's not just the color or anything, it's the smell. It's kind of like a dog-like thing for me, where I just know it's wrong. I just know that it will make me sick. But you know, I like stuff that looks like milk, like soy milk I really like, or Korean makgeolli, which is like rice wine, looks like milk. I can drink that, okay. It's not the appearance, it's just the smell, or it's the essence, or just something about it. I just know that it's bad. Number 8, my right eye is larger than my left. And I can tell even more because my face is a little out of balance now since I had some surgery in Korea, but that's again another whole other topic of discussion. Number 9, I don't have tattoos or piercings, and to be honest, I'm not really a fan of either. I just never understood that. Like, I have such a capricious mind that I change my mind too much, and it would be impossible for me to have one without regretting it, I think. Even though I have thought of doing it, and people have even offered to buy them for me and everything, it's just that it seems that in the last 30 years since I've been around, they become more and more mainstream. And, you know, it makes sense if you're in the military, or if you're an ex-con or something, you've been to prison, I think. But to see like these 18-year-old girls now, they just go out and get a tattoo right away like it's nothing. I just think, yeah, it's kind of ruining a canvas in a way. And not only that, but if you have a tattoo, that takes away your ability to be completely naked, you know, because no matter how little you're wearing, you're always wearing something. And that always seemed odd to me. Number 10, my favorite romantic film is Next Stop Wonderland from the 90s. Number 11, I'm single, never married, don't have kids, but, you know, as a man, I still have time to do that. And hopefully, you know, I'd like to meet someone out in Vietnam and maybe take them back to the States. And we'll see how that works out, but, you know, life might go in other directions. And I have no prospects, and I'm not really looking right now, but that's, you know, bleh. Number 12, I've always had a very libertine attitude when it comes to drugs and alcohol. Now, I don't use drugs anymore, but I used to quite a bit. I haven't today, to quote Bill Hicks. Actually, it's been a while, but and I still drink, but I think people should be allowed to do that. But especially since I've become red-pilled, you know, I've thought that maybe I've overestimated the effects of these 1960s psychedelics and grass and acid and all this, and I think, well, maybe I was led to believe that these had certain truths that aren't really there. 13, I am a self-professed Quaker, or in our parlance, a convinced friend. A Quaker is a kind of Christian who sits in a circle and doesn't talk and sits there for an hour. But lately, you know, I did one video about this, The Worst Friend Speaks, and I've had a hard time with Quakers lately, and I keep my spiritual options open, and I'm not sure what the next thing will be, but this has been kind of the spiritual path I've been on for the last maybe 15 years or so. Number 14, the whole reason I am a Quaker is because of James Joyce, whom I quote with the name of this channel, Jinka Jabo, which comes from Ulysses, which is Irish baby talk. It means a drink of water, as in the baby says, I jink Jabo. Memorable part of that book. But there's a prominent Quaker in that story, and that's the example that I followed. And that's really what led me to the Society of Friends, which I still, the Quakers they're pacifists, but they're quite contentious. And I get in arguments online with Quakers damn near every day, every week at least. I like to kick that the hornet's nest of militant friends that we have online. Okay, number 15, papayas. Both my favorite fruit and my favorite food. I love papayas. Number 16, my favorite TV show is The Simpsons, and one of my best childhood memories is watching the premiere with my family. And since then, I've been following along, and yeah, it's not as good as it once was. There was a heyday, I think, between seasons 3 and 8, but it's still good, and I still rewatch those episodes a lot, and there's just something about it. I think that's just like perfect TV. The Simpsons. Number 17, perhaps related to The Simpsons, like jazz is my favorite genre. I'm kind of like Lisa Simpson in that sense. I listen to jazz every day, and especially in 2017. Lately, it's been the only music that I listen to. No rock and roll, nothing else. I just need some Miles Davis, some Horace Silver, some Art Blakey. This is the stuff that I live on. This is what excites my brain. This is what keeps me at peace. Number 18, I have shaken Barack Obama's hand, and this was before he became president. This was during the primaries, and this was in Wisconsin. I remember it was a winter day. It was right after the Rocky Horror Picture Show had been the night before, and I had been partying with my friends all night. And there's actually still a video of it on YouTube. I'll try to include a link to it below. See if you can spot me. You see my white fist go up in the sign of power at the very end. That's me in the brown coat. Related to that, and this is very controversial, but I'm pretty sure Barack Obama is gay. I'm not being racist when I say that. I don't understand. I posted the Newsweek cover. It's a legit cover that says the first gay president, where he has the rainbow halo above his head. And someone said, "Oh, you're a racist for posting that." I'm like, what? First of all, what's wrong with being gay? I mean, it's kind of homophobic, don't you think? Number 19, since turning 30, I've really resolved to live in the present and to handle failures and defeats gracefully. And I really, growing older is a blessing. It just gets better and better, You worry a lot less, you need a lot less. And I've actually become more secular-minded. I've become more materialistic, but I still am interested in religions and all that. I'm just trying to stay focused on where I am right now and what I'm doing right now. And finally, number 20. Some of my best friends are cats, and I even dream about cats the way that you sometimes dream about people. I still think about cats, living and dead cats. And I connect with them almost as I connect with people. I'm kind of like I'm a cat lady in that sense. Okay. That's enough of that. I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit now that I've got a whopping 10 subscribers now. Straight to the top. Make way, PewDiePie. Thank you for watching Jinka Jabo.